Hey everyone! In that haul video that I posted with my little sister, I showed you guys a plain looking purse that I bought, and I got it because I liked it, but it was also pretty plain and I thought it would be a good opportunity to make a video showing how to jazz up a plain looking purse. I knew that I wanted to do some type of fringe on the purse, but I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do, so after scouring the internet looking for inspiration, I finally found a purse that I thought was really cute from the brand Soul Society. It was the same body shape as the purse that I got, so it was pretty perfect. I'm going to show you guys what I did, and I'm going to teach you the little techniques that I did in order to achieve the look that I wanted for this bag. So let's get started. This is another video where I'm kind of just walking you through the steps on how I did this particular project. I'm hoping that you'll still be able to learn some techniques through watching this video. I used an old leather purse, a paper pattern, a rotary cutter, a ruler, scissors, a pin, sandpaper, a mallet, contact cement, and some scrap leather. Click here to see how I get scrap leather from old thrifted jackets. Also, this leather that I used is from a different jacket, where I used the majority to make a leather backpack, but I still had these small scraps. It didn't match the color of the purse either, so I used some alcohol-based markers to color the scraps. I'm not sure how well this stuff will stay, and in a perfect world, I would have just gone and bought some leather dye, but I'm impatient and I just wanted to work on this thing as quickly as I could, so I just grabbed the closest thing that I could to attempt to color the leather. It seemed to have worked pretty well, but I'm not sure how long the color will last in the long term, so I would suggest just going out and buying leather dye if you needed to change the color of your leather. I had a specific design I was trying to mimic, so I had to make a paper pattern to match that design. I just traced the outside of the purse and then drew 3 petal shapes at the bottom. The purse I'm using has a magnetic clasp, so I had to mark that too, and then I cut the pattern out. I laid the pattern out onto my leather and traced it with a silver Sharpie. It'd probably be a better idea to use tailor's chalk so you could just dust it off after cutting it out. Then I cut it out. I made sure to cut on the inside of the lines so there wouldn't be any silver marks on the finished piece. I made some fringe with the rest of the leather. I had to improvise a little on the sides. I wanted the fringe to be behind the petal flap, so I laid the scrap leather out and put the pattern piece at the top so I could see how much it would overlap. I flipped the pieces over and then traced the pattern onto the back. And then I cut about 1/2 inch away from that line. Using a ruler and a rotary cutter, I cut 1/4 inch strips from the bottom to the traced line on each piece. I placed the petal piece of leather onto the bag, and I used a pin to trace around the edge. This leaves a very faint line so I could see where I needed to stop in this next step. In order to get the contact cement to stick properly, the finished leather of the bag needs to be roughened up. I did this with sandpaper in the areas where the flap of leather would go. Then I placed the fringe down and used a marker to mark the edge. It's fine to use a marker here because this line will get covered up completely. This next step needs to be done in a well-ventilated area. I spread some contact cement along the edge of the roughed up surface on the bag, and then the top edge of the back of the fringe pieces. I let them dry for at least 20 minutes, and when it was dry to the touch, I added another layer. I let that dry for about 10 more minutes until it was tacky. It shouldn't be completely wet still, but it shouldn't feel dry either. Once it was ready to go, I carefully put the pieces in place. You have to try to get it right the first time because you can't really peel this stuff back off once you start putting it down. And then I placed the petal flap on the top, and I used a pin to trace it again. And then I roughed up the top ends of the fringe pieces with sandpaper. And then I covered that whole area, and then the whole back petal flap piece with contact cement. Just like before, I waited for it to dry about 20 minutes, and then added another layer, and then let it dry for about 10 minutes, or until tacky. Then I placed it onto the bag. Since mine had a clasp, I made sure to line that part up first. I pressed the leather down firmly, and to make sure the pieces stuck together really well, I smacked it all over with a mallet. I had to do this off screen because it was shaking my camera setup too much. Now it had to dry according to the contact cement instructions, which was about a day or two. I was waiting until this was fully assembled before I trimmed the fringe, but the fringe actually ended up being pretty even, so I ended up not having to trim it at all. So here it is, all done. I hope you all enjoyed this week's project. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. I post DIY videos every Thursday, and I've also started posting drawing/painting videos every Tuesday, so stay tuned for those if you like that kind of thing. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Pinterest, and I'll leave the information of those down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week.